So now, in 1995, I'm working as a security guard at Commerce Casino. Guy gives me a videotape, I mean a cassette tape, you know how long that ago that was. And he says to me, something is going to happen in 2001. They're going to use, Arabs are going to use airplanes to release anthrax on the people in America. Over 250 million people could die. And he said it's going to happen in 2001, and that's what they're going to use these planes. Here's the cassette tape. Listen to it. So I listened to the tape, and on the tape it says, you know, I met this lady, she's from Iran, and they're planning this. They have people right now that are being trained for this mission to use planes and do a attack against the United States in 2001, they tell me, right? This is 1995. I listened to it and I studied everything she wrote. She said that the Bush's own the Hercules company makes anthrax, and they're selling anthrax to Iraq and to Iran. And so I looked up the Hercules company, and of course they're a chemical company, they make chemical weapons. And he was saying the Bushes own this company, right? So I'm thinking, well, it's 1995. I got a while before it, and we'll see if anything happens. So he said, anyway, he said, I'm leaving America. Okay, so and of course in 9/11 happens and Bush is in office, okay? Bush Jr. is in office. And while Bush Jr. is in office, we see this on TV. We see 9/11 on TV, and each and every one of us are angry at the Arabs. Some of us was ready to join the military that day to defend our country, right? We had no idea that the guy that was on TV talking, Bush, was one of the planners and plotters in the destruction of the building and the 3,000 people that died. The other day I was watching it, and I guess the Lord was getting me prepared for this message, and I started bawling. I started crying. You know why I started crying? People were jumping out of the window at the top of the towers. They were just, instead of burning to death, they were choosing to rather fall to their death. And I'm watching, and God, I think for the first time put into my mind, those are human beings with children at home and families that are jumping out of those buildings. And they are landing, and their death a long way down. But they'd rather do that than die in the building and burn up. And for the first time it hit me, this was evil. This was an evil thing to do, okay? So, anyway, after the United States said, we are now going to go into Iraq and we're going to get these Arabs for what they did. Although none of the hijackers were from Iraq, but that's where the oil was. And they needed a reason to go over there. That's why they did the 9/11 thing, because once they do this, now we can say it's the Arabs, and then now we can send the military over and we can attack Iraq, and we can now confiscate their oil, because the leader of Iraq was saying that he was no longer going to sell oil in petrodollars. Petrodollar means American dollars. In the world, you can only buy oil with petrodollars. Understand that. The United States had a monopoly on who can buy oil. Before you bought oil, whatever country you were from, you first had to buy American dollars. And then with the American dollars, now you can buy the oil. Iraq didn't want to do that anymore. They wanted to sell their oil to anyone they want. Thus, this guy's got to go. So they come up with an idea to go over there and now take the oil, okay? So that happens. The Lord had me write all this down. So that happens, and then they go over there and they invade Russia. And then they say, okay, what other oil place can we now think of a reason to take? Let's tell the people that we're going to now take Iran's oil too. So they start coming up with the idea that Iran has nuclear weapons or trying to build nuclear weapons. And now we're going to get their oil too. So they're going to attack Iran was the next plan. Iran did something very smart though. They made a deal with Russia and China to be their allies, so that if America attacked them, they would get in a war with Russia and China as well. So Iran was now protected, so America could not invade Iran. Okay? So now you have this situation where they wanted to attack Iran, but now they can't, okay? Now, once they get Iraq, they still want to get all that oil over there, but Bush is out of office. And guess who wins? Obama. So Obama comes into office, and then you guys may not remember, but I remember when Obama came into office in 2011, they went over there, and then there was all these countries, they were taking them over. Tunisia, whatever, Jordan, Kuwait, Algeria, Egypt, Yemen. And then, so they got all the oil, they started coups. That means you're starting a war in their own country so you can come in and you can take the oil. So they were taking all these Arab nations and getting control of all the oil. They had Iraq, now they had Jordan, now they had Kuwait, Algeria, they had Egypt, Yemen. And then now they say we gotta go now and get the oil in Syria. Syria is an ally to Iran. So, but they're not an ally with Russia and China. But they say we got to get the oil in Syria. So now they're trying to get the oil in Syria, okay? But President Obama comes on. After defeating these other nations, he comes on and he says, things were moving too slowly. I posted it on Facebook. Things were moving too slowly. So now we're financing ISIS to help us speed up the process. They gave them $8 billion to start the Islamic Brotherhood to start ISIS. $8 billion, okay? We can't get $5 billion for a wall, even though the budget's $255 billion, but we can't get $5 billion for a wall. But they had $8 billion to start what? To start ISIS. ISIS got out of control. Now they had confiscation of the oil in Syria, but they didn't want to give it to the Americans. So now Obama's got a problem. Russia's got a problem because Russia didn't have the problem because they're getting their oil from Iran, but Russia now wants in on this deal. And Obama entices Russia to come and be a part of this thing to get rid of ISIS, to help him get rid of ISIS so we can get the oil in Syria. So they say their president is a bad person. He's shooting his own people with chemical weapons. So we got to go get rid of that guy out of Syria.
Well, there's no question that he is operating with gross disregard for the health and safety and welfare of his own people. He is killing his own people.
Because we need that oil. Shh. You know? And so now they're over and they're in Syria. So since they're in Syria and Russia's there, Iran says, oh, well, we're your buddies, so we'll help you. So Iran goes to Syria and they set up a military base so they can help the United States, Russia, and Iran so they can all get some of this oil, right? Now Turkey's over there, so now Turkey's like, we want some of that oil too, right? So you have this whole problem with Syria. It's not over, people. Okay, so now Obama is out of office and they have destroyed all these nations. They're getting all, but they still got the problem of ISIS. They've destroyed Damascus. Buildings are leveled in Syria. But they have to continue the process because the Illuminati wants the whole region. But now they're figuring Hillary is our main lady. She'll help us finish the job. And a matter of fact, Hillary and Obama were threatening Russia and North Korea with war. And the Russian president couldn't figure out why the Nephilim, this is a step higher, were listening to a man when men always took their orders from Nephilim. This was in the report of the guy that took off and went to Russia from the NSA. So you got this whole big mess going, but now they're figuring we're still going to take over the world. We're still going to have Iraq. We're still going to start this war with Russia, and we're still going to start this war with North Korea. And because our girl Hillary is going to come in, and she's going to finish what Obama was doing for us. Problem is, Hillary loses. And they're like, what do you mean Hillary lost? The Rothschilds had a website called getherforus.com to support Hillary financially so that they could get Hillary into office. This whole thing was about getting Hillary into office. Why? Because Hillary was protecting all of the evil that they were doing. And Hillary was making millions of dollars off of what they were doing. So while Hillary and Obama are in office, they figure out the way to make a little extra money. They take American uranium, okay, the Iranian deal, and they start selling it to Russia. And Russia's giving some to Iran, okay? So and Hillary and Obama are selling uranium, which is what you need to make nuclear bombs. And they're selling it to Russia, and Russia's giving some to Iran. And so now they come out and a big investigation, the FBI closes down the investigation. We don't, you know, she's fine, everything, she did a few things wrong. But because they were trying to thank her for what she did in Libya on 9/11, because they did Satan's sacrifice in Libya. Anyways, she's no longer president. They say her money's drying up. Nobody's giving anything to the Clintons anymore, right? They tried to go on tour and nobody showed up. They ran out this whole big thing, and then like the place is like 75% empty. So nobody even wants to talk to them anymore. But now you got this guy in office and they want him out of there. Why? The first thing he does is declare war against child pedophilia. And he says it is a big problem throughout the whole world. We are going to use all of our resources to shut down child pedophilia throughout the world. Now, in 2017, there was 1,500 arrests of child pedophiles. 1,500 and it's under Trump's investigation because he's got this task force out on getting rid of this whole thing. He gets this thing going and gets 1,500 arrests in 2017. Was that ever on CNN? No. Okay. This year in June, there were 2,300 child pedophile arrests under this whole attack system that he has to get rid of this thing. Was that on CNN? No, okay? So they're not going to say anything about Trump that he's doing that's good. They're going to continue to try to put things in front of you so you can say, get rid of him. I want to ask you a question, though. Why is it that when Trump got elected, witches got together and said, we're going to have a night. We're calling on all the witches from around the world to speak a curse against Trump? That right there told me, oh, he must be a real good dude. Because if Satan is mad at you and he's getting his goons mad at you and they're getting together to pray against you, something's pretty right about this guy, okay? So, people say, you think that Trump's a good guy? I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. But what he did was, he slowed down the process of what the Illuminati was doing. Yeah. He slowed it down. We were supposed to be in a war with North Korea. There was supposed to be a nuclear war with North Korea. You are supposed to be in darkness right now in a nuclear war with North Korea. Trump goes over there and works out a deal and lets the guy know what the Illuminati's doing. Made him look bad for that. And that made the Illuminati look bad. And Trump makes a deal, and North Korea for the first time says, okay, we're going to drop our nuclear program because Trump asked us to. And he said, don't worry, we'll be protected by the United States. And so now, what made North Korea trust Trump? Because Trump laid it out to him. Everything that happened, okay? So now we're not at war, okay? But the war is still on to get rid of all the people that were trafficking children throughout the world, doing satanic rituals and all of this stuff, okay? So since that war is on, remember this. The guy, Congressman Steve Scalise, he did a video to say that he's with Trump and he wants to help get rid of pedophilia. A week later, he gets us almost murdered in a park in Washington, D.C. because he wanted to team with Trump to help them get rid of pedophilia. And so he did this video, and then the next week he's at a park and they try to assassinate him, almost kill him, and he lived, okay? Through this whole thing, Allison Mack from the TV show got arrested, and that revealed a whole lot of pedophilia that was going on around the world. So since that was able to do that, she implemented Anthony Bourdain, the chef, who was a customer of NextVM, and so he started dropping the Clintons' name. And when he started dropping the Clintons' name, he started complaining that the Clintons were sending thugs to come and visit him. And then the next week, he decides he's committing suicide. Okay? When you look at everything that's going on and how much they hate this person, okay? And how much the media is trying to get you to make sure you hate him too, okay? And they will never tell you anything good that he did, okay? They don't want the borders closed, but why? This gang, I think MS-13s or whatever, how many people have they murdered in the United States selling drugs in the United States? Trump has gotten rid of most, I don't know if all of them, but he's gotten rid of a lot of them out of this country. He set out a war against them, okay? But they still don't want to put the border up. Who doesn't want a border? Who wants borderless countries? The UN is pushing for borderless countries. So if the UN is pushing for it, who's pushing for it? The Illuminati is pushing for it. They don't want countries with borders. They want open borders throughout the world, right? Because they want a globalist. So this is globalism. So what you're now in the middle of is globalism versus nationalism. You're in the middle of it.